Hello guys, welcome to Tech Radiance. Today we are going to talk about what is hydration and resumability. First of all, I want to apologize to you all because I didn't take enough preparation for this video and I know the presentation looks a bit crappy, but I promise I will explain each and everything and I'll try to make this video as short as possible. So please bear with me. So before, we had our servers serving some HTML and we actually rendered that to our client browser. So the problem with this approach is the HTML that's getting rendered into the client browser is not interactive. So we have an static HTML page. To add interactivity to that HTML page, we added jQuery, which actually helped a lot in adding interactivity to that HTML. But nowadays, most of the projects are getting very big, they're getting computation heavy and they're demanding projects, right? So the issue with jQuery is it will quickly get error prone and also will have a lot of duplicate logics. So if you want to validate a form and we want to validate it in both server and front end, so you'll have to use that same logic in both places. So this is not very developer friendly, right? So to solve this issue, modern day framework and libraries came into place. So I've mentioned three here, React, Angular and Vue, but nowadays there is a ton of framework and libraries. So now what happens is when a server is actually delivering a DOM and then it also contains all the information to download all the JavaScript file, and this JavaScript file also contain all the information that's included inside this DOM. So when the server is actually rendering this DOM, it's not interactive, but it's actually downloading this JavaScript, and when the JavaScript is downloaded, it actually getting processed and executed, and then the framework kicks in and something called reconciliation is in action. So if you guys are actually reading the React documentation, you already know about what reconciliation is. But what reconciliation does, it actually reuse the DOM nodes from that server and it recreates the DOM and serves it. So what happens is it's a very performant solution. So the DOM we had from the server, the reconciliation uses all of those nodes to recreate the DOM, and this time with interactivity. So it's getting rendered twice. The DOM is getting rendered twice, and that is the issue with hydration. And of course this whole process is called hydration, and hydration and resumability, the both concept goes with SSR. And if you don't know what SSR is, SSR stands for server side rendering. So if you have an application that is getting served from a backend or a server, and you most probably already using hydration and resumability, unless your application is like very old and is still using jQuery to add interactivity to the DOM. So now you already know the issue, right? The DOM is getting rendered twice, and also this JavaScript, it contains all the necessary information for this DOM. So this JavaScript is a big file, and this big file is getting downloaded in mobile, Vue and some other things. With bad internet, this will take some time to get rendered, and at that time if the user is trying to interact with the DOM that is actually an static DOM which is served from the server, user won't be able to interact with it. So this JavaScript is getting downloaded and then processed and then finally going through reconciliation. This is a long process, right? That's why resumability comes in. So you have a server serving a DOM, and when a user is trying to interact with a specific part of the DOM, and a small chunk of JavaScript will be downloaded, and this JavaScript will add interactivity to that part. So this process and reconciliation and re-rendering of the DOM, this whole process is eliminated. So here resumability kicks in. So the server you have, it's serving as an static file which is the DOM, and when a user is trying to interact with the DOM, and only the JavaScript needed for that DOM or needed for that interaction will be downloaded, and it will help the user to interact with the DOM. So what happens is you get a much faster result and the user experience is very good, and in this process the developer experience is good too, because as we see before, in our old use cases, when the server, we actually served an HTML file from a server and we had jQuery to add interactivity to that HTML. This is not very developer friendly, right? You are using same logic in both server and jQuery. There is a lot of duplication, and in a big application the jQuery becomes error prone very quickly. So with this in mind, the hydration was first invented. Most of the major framework and libraries are using hydration, and there are some specific libraries which is still not widely used. For an example, there is Wix, which is actually a Google internal framework and it's not public, and that uses resumability. And I think there is another framework from eBay which is launching their version 6 very soon, and that will also come with resumability baked in. So resumability has some complications with it, and maybe I'll make another video that actually explains how resumability works in a broader term, and we'll also discuss all the roadblocks that resumability comes with and why it is not so easy to implement, right? So I hope you have some basic understanding of what is hydration and what is resumability, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.